welcome to this month's full council. May I start with apologies for absence, please?
Anna Rachel Padilla, Tony Audrey and Mr. Mowers.
Thank you. Right.
That's not just about to start.
Just an apology, so you've got to mother.
Oh, okay, very first.
You want to? Alright, moving on to public participation times. We have got a really full agenda tonight, so I will be keeping to the strict 3 minutes and only one conversation per person, I'm afraid. So, if I can get are there any members of the public that wish to ask a question? Can I start with Roger, please?
Yeah, footpath, one down Mill Lane, side Bucker's Green. When are you going to clear that? You've not been able to walk down that for months now.
The county, we have reported to the county. It's on their list of things to do. But the correspondence I got back, it has to be really badly overgrown basically before they're going to come out and do it.
That is really bad.
It's impossible, isn't it?
That is just
Excuse me,
possible.
Mr. Chairman.
So,
I've been asking about this for months now, and not only is it bad, you cannot see the path for about half a mile.
okay, that's not a problem. What I can get, I'll call the highways chap out. It's a bloke called John O'Brien. So I'll get him to come out and have a look.
Have you been in touch with the county, Tony?
Oh, I was
We all have.
So we
Sorry?
certainly have.
Have you been in touch with the county council directly?
I haven't, no. I haven't been here for a couple of months, so.
Yeah.
It's probably useful to have the maximum number of voices. Rather than just
Yeah, cool.
So, I had a local resident complain that she'd fallen. She bruised her wrist. If she'd been older, it was quite likely that she'd broken her wrist. I've reported it now twice on the Cambridgeshire County Council website. The first time they denied it because it was their responsibility, because I mentioned the light wasn't working properly, and therefore it was in darkness and therefore worse.
Yeah.
And they used that as an excuse to declaim the report. This second one went in a week ago, and they've ignored that too.
No problem. Can you forward me those emails, please, and then I'll take it up. Okay?
Because the road that leads in front of the Hawks, down to Paris Terrace, is in a shocking state. As you know, actually, we went there 4 years ago now.
Yes, yeah.
And were told that it would be sorted.
Yeah.
If they're trying to get people off the roads, then they need to be footpaths that you can actually walk on, don't they?
Okay, right, so I'll get that dealt with.
Yeah, and just as Bowers Terrace as well, had a big stump out, a woman come to a wheelbarrow over a pushchair over us the other day.
Okay. Right, anybody else?
Just my usual question, are we any closer to getting the committee agendas and minutes up for the non-full council meetings on the website?
What I have got on there is up to date.
Yeah.
Because I was just having a quick look, because planning, there's not anything since October
We
last
did
year.
have,
Didn't have a plan.
did have a meeting.
Yeah, no, since October. That was the last agenda or minutes on the website at the moment.
We'll check, we'll
But
get that
then the
checked
minutes
out.
don't want to be, yeah.
Okay, right, thank you for that.
You were discussing the Baden Road development name. Can I suggest Bridge Close because the bridge is there?
That's Betsy
And
Martin.
the list.
Oh, you've got my message.
Joe passed it on.
Which bridge?
It was a railway bridge. It separated Sawston from Baden. When we were kids, we were in Sawston, Overbridge, we were in Baden. It's right
Oh, I see,
outside.
it's a footbridge over.
No, Overbridge.
A road bridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little kink in the middle of the road. in the course of that road, that was where the bridge was.
Okay, no, that was a road bridge.
It's a little bit like in the map, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
that's
what it is. I think I
it's sharp.
might make a comment on that.
Right,
would
we'll
be-
get to
sorry.
discuss that when we get to
So,
it.
so my only comment on that would be there is a bridge facing Grey Shelford. I was concerned about confusion.
Well, we have got this as an agenda item, so if you'd like to say, we'll be discussing it at that point. All right, okay?
I'd just like to say, if anyone did want to see any photographs of the road and bridge, they are in the Charles House.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions from anyone? No? Okay, thank you very much for that. Moving on, declaration of interest for this meeting, please. Good, that's a good start. Right, I'm hoping you read the minutes for the full council on the 14th of January. And can I have a proposer that they are a true record? Neil and Kieran? Thank you very much. All those in favour?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
You know. I'll get rid of that one. Right, report from the Recreation and Open Spaces Committee held on the 21st of January. There were 2 items on here that have to be, that were recommended to full council. It was item 8 to discuss a request from Sawston United Girls FC. It was proposed by Councillor Kevin Copley and seconded by Councillor Anand Pilau to recommend to full to allow them to play starting the season 2021-2022. Everybody in agreement to encourage girls football, ladies football? All those in favour? Thank you very much. The second item was to discuss 3 quotes for the ransom mower, of which there were 3 quotes given. It was proposed by Councillor Beck-Lapson and seconded by Councillor Anand Pilau to recommend to full we purchased the new mower at £49,897 plus VAT using machinery money we have earmarked and the rest from reserves. This is due to the fact that it's just about defunct now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we do need to buy a new one. And this will, from what I gather, this will have a wider cutting and
Yes.
everything on it.
Save Alan time.
Yeah, it saves time. So
Can I ask, you emailed about the service packages, is that then a
It's on
separate?
the, yes, because we discussed this,
Oh, I
I
see.
put this forward as a recommendation and then they asked about servicing, so I agreed to get quotes for that.
So can I have a vote on that word agreement?
Hold on,
Fine, you? None? Okay.
are you a no vote or was that?
I'm just going to ask.
That's done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Matters arising none. Done that version, done that. Right, planning application and associated matters. The first one's a bit of a mouthful.
Just say it's the Huawei site, so the informal response.
Maybe that was a mouthful he was worried about.
That's the problem. Right, S015820FL. It's the Hawaii site, and they're building. This is the revised application, isn't it? So open to the floor, and any comments, please. Brian.
So just to say, there's a public consultation that finishes on the 22nd, so there's not too much time if anybody wants to make comments about this. The principal thing that they changed, if you remember, about this is a clean room environment. So structurally, they've got to have quite a lot of space above. So they have one floor, which is the fabrication plant, but it's clean room, and they exchange all the air, so they're going to get blowers and filters and so on in the building. It was commented that on the original application it was a very bland box building, and so they went away and they've come up with quite an innovative design with wave roof one way, which will have the solar panels on, and another curved surface going the other way, which will accommodate all this top floor equipment.
Okay, any other comments?
We did have a meeting this morning with representatives from stakeholders and Shelford Parish councillors who are concerned about countryside access. And one of the issues which I suggested was Sawston, and Beck was there as well, was that we should be asking for a contribution towards a cycleway along the 1301 to fill in the gap. And I think there was anything else you wanted to raise from the meeting.
No, I think we were putting together suggestions for things that we'd like to ask for from Mowers, because at the moment they seem to be very conciliatory. I think the main thing that's been discussed at parish council meetings is that it would be really good to have a route through the site, and that's actually on the latest plans that they sent. But they sent a whole box full of plans to Joe in the office yesterday, and nobody's had a chance to sift through them yet. But it seems very difficult thing, a footpath and cycleway that goes right through the site. So it'll be particularly good for village college students coming from Whittlesford, but that gives them a really nice shortcut through, and hopefully a fairly safe one in terms of traffic as well.
Can I respond to that? So this was a conversation that I've had separately as well, so with the district council officers when we met with Whittlesford residents, because they are also interested in the wildlife, there's particular issues around the riverside and so on. They'll make sure that the biodiversity gain that is expected comes. And we talked to them about access and permeability. And since then, the revised the revised plan application earmarks a route for cycles that goes south of the river and alongside the lake, so that there would be access at least to the south of the site, the working sites. They were asked specifically if they'd let open Mill Lane all the way through to the Shelford Road at the other side, and they've declined that invitation, other than to consider opening it up on occasion. So, for example, there's a cycle race that Spicer's used to open the road so that you could cycle all the way through. But they've declined the opportunity to have that whole road available for cyclists.
Right, I should definitely talk to you, and we should have a look at the plans then, because the plan isn't very clear in terms of the key and what it's showing, and it looks as though there was a cycleway all the way through. So
the cycleway that they're proposing goes from the western side of the new bridge over the Whittlesford cycleway. So are you following where I am? So there's a new blue bridge that's where you turn the corner and go across the Wheatfield, whatever it is. So from there to follow a new path along the bank of the river, which then joins or runs alongside the fishing lake that's there between that and the road, and would then exit onto the Little Shelford to Whittlesford Road. The point that you make is absolutely, and we've talked to them about the cycle access, so specifically for people coming from Little Shelford down, and therefore can come across and through to the thing, because they don't have that capability. We've also talked to them about wider permeability pathways. So, for example, the Oasis, the Durnford Quarry Lake, is obviously potential for a nice resource, and actually have access for people through what was the SSI, for example, and back up. And so they've been lobbied on several occasions and just application for I've been there, to make sure that that permeability and access is improved and increased from where it is now.
David?
Yes, I think there's some concerns about opening up the fairness SSI significantly, because as I'm sure you're aware, it's surveyed in the 1950s by Bishop Stortford Grammar School. It's decreased in size by about 50% since then. It is a very precious and unique landscape. It's the remains of a fairground which, just after the end of the last ice age, stretched up the river valleys feeding into it. And there are very few caches that have left, so it is important to preserve that. I'm slightly concerned that if it became a public area, you have dogs exercise there or whatever, you know.
Well,
it could easily be
there's several possibilities of routes in and out along there. So.
Any other comments? Yeah.
I would just say that I think this is a much better proposal than the last one. We had the reservations that we had about design have, to my mind, been completely addressed, and I think I'd be happy to support them.
No, I think that's a proposal.
If nobody else
Yes,
wants to close down the conversation.
Are these requests for improved access something that we ought to be putting with our response to the planning application? So I think we might need to go back to what we agreed at this morning's meeting and just maybe tally that with what Brian's just been saying, because I think we could have done with that extra knowledge at the meeting.
So we're supporting, we're asking for a cycle contribution to extend cycle along the 1301. What else have you asked for?
And as much access through the site as possible.
Yes,
And then
with the proviso that the fence rejected.
But I think the reason that I would like to ask about site of the path is because they're predicting that a lot of their employees are going to cycle service, so it makes sense that there are proper routes there and people will cycle way along the bypass.
Okay, yeah?
Yeah.
I've got a proposal. Do I have a seconder? Jane? All those in favour?
Yeah.
Any against? Abstentions? No vote. In my enthusiasm to get things moving, it's been pointed out that I didn't actually take the recommendation for the recreation minutes being a correct
Second minutes.
record of minutes. So can I have a proposer? David? Neil? All those in favour?
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Moving on to S0080, 20 FL, new detached dwelling and parking for 2 vehicles, new footpath crossover, resubmission of S3832 19 FL at land adjacent to 26 Grant Road. Comments, please. Jane.
This is one we've already looked at.
Yes.
Yeah. There's one neighbour has commented, that's number 44. If you look at, I've been out there today and had to walk around there as well. So number 44 has out the back extended their garden anyway past their boundary. And a bit of land out the back that everybody wants access to because it's wonderful. Yes, they have got honeybees on there in hives, but it's a terrible state. There's old patio chairs there, there's piles of rubbish, there's some for sale signs from estate agents, so it's not being used or maintained or anything at the moment. That was it. I mean, they're on about they'll lose access to the back of their gardens or number 44s, but because you can't put things in, but that's his objection.
I haven't looked at it myself, but looking at the documentation, I couldn't see any real changes from the last application that was not only refused but widely commented on by the neighbours. But on the other hand, I take what you're saying about it not being a very used piece of ground, but it doesn't seem to be a very good scheme to me, and it doesn't address any of the reasons why it was turned down.
No, it doesn't.
Brian.
So I went out when the first application.
Yeah.
So the neighbours asked me to come and look at it. The principal problem for me is not particularly the access to the amenity land, but that will present a problem, it would stop the gap that easily accesses that amenity land as was described. It is a mess.
It's a mess, but I think there's access further along you can get through.
So there's, you actually have to go right the way around to get into it, and there's some suggestion on there that there's a potential for a pathway alongside the side of this new proposed house, but that's clearly not giving them, I mean, it's removing substantial amounts of the access. It was originally there because there was, that was access also to the land beyond over the other side of the beck that's there, but that's clearly not being used in some substantial time. The thing for me that I said about the original one, which wasn't a reason particularly that it was refused, was it would look very odd along in its position. There's these two offset rows of houses, and that gap in the middle actually is a reasonable gap to have because of that difference. To have them so close together, which this would do, sort of stop up the gap, seems to me to look quite odd. But I'll have to be careful not to show predetermination in case it comes back to the committee. But I don't understand what the difference between the resubmission and the original application that was rejected was. Doesn't seem to be any.
Well, I would honestly free of any considerations of predetermination. Because I just point out that the fact that a piece of land is untidy is not a planning consideration, because it has been a well-known technique for people who wish to develop land to allow it to become degraded and untidy in order to try and sway the decision. So I would put that out in my mind. I'm not saying that's the case in this instance. I'm not making any accusations at all, but I'm just saying that.
So I propose do not support.
On the same reasons
On the
as
same
before?
reasons before, because there was overdevelopment, incompatibility with this street scene,
Yes.
and also
Do I have a
There's also the original refusal was based on or land next to the green belt. So that was one of the issues. So you can put that as a material consideration if you chose to.
You're seconding them. All those in favour?
Hold on, I'm not looking. No, 8.
Those against? Abstentions? One abstention. And a no vote by any chance? Right. Right, S0012 20FL, erection of 2-bedroom house with side and rear extension at 24 Springfield Road. Comments, please. Brian, go for it.
This is another resubmission. We've had one here before. I can't remember why it was rejected, to be honest with you.
Any other comments?
had a chance to look at this one.
It's got a neighbour rejection again, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all.
Do I have any recommendations?
I don't know what's wrong with it, I don't know what's in it. Yeah, but it's really good fine.
Do you like a proposal?
I propose we support it. I couldn't see anything
Okay,
wrong with it.
that's
I
fine.
looked at it.
Do I have a seconder for that?
Stephen?
Stephen, thank you. All those in favour?
1, 2, 3.
I think we're offering we ought to abstain.
All those against? 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Abstentions? And no vote. That was not carried. Okay, thank you very much.
You need a reason for refusal.
Yeah, that's
Well, can we hear from the people who voted against?
What's your reasons for refusal?
Same reasons as last time. What were they? So, I have a report later on planning delegations and giving parish councils a more robust involvement But one of the things that we must do is do it on material considerations. So the district council will ignore us if we try and reject things without any rationale. So we must, and it's no use trying to refer back to stuff that happened before, because we don't know. So that hasn't influenced us because we don't know what they are. So they're not before us. So unless we can come up with a material consideration for refusal, we can't refuse it. But the refusal will be ignored.
Yes.
But they'll take less notice of us next time. I mean, we've built up quite a good track record of, you know, when we don't support something, it's quite often rejected by South Cambs.
So I need a reason from the ones who voted against for rejection. And as Brian rightly said, it does have to be material.
We've
taken the vote.
We've taken the vote now, but I think the answer is unless we can come up with a material consideration, it's likely to be ignored.
Yes.
Okay?
So if we've got a reason, now's the time to add it.
I think there are significant issues with high water table and flooding, and I would like reassurance that it's not sorry, okay? But it's not within the flood risk area. So as I said, there was certainly a site which was further up from that when which has had its foundations pumped out continuously whilst it's being constructed, if you recall.
Yeah. Okay, well, we will, if the people that vote against it could contact Joe with your reasons, then that would be great. Otherwise, as I said, it will just, no, it was voted against, but it will be ignored. So, moving on, S0224 20FL, single story rear extension, side extension, garage conversion and front dormer extension at 14 Ashley Way. Comments, please.
I would note that one too.
Been busy today.
I mean,
Let's keep fit.
yeah. Slight walk to the side doesn't affect parking. They will lose the garage. Garage is used for storage. But didn't see anything that we could turn around and say you can't have it.
Similar to others that have been
Already.
And I think from a design point of view, I think it looks good quality. So I'd be happy to propose support.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Jane? All those in favour? Those against? Abstentions? One and no vote. Thank you very much. S0239 20 VC, variation of condition to approved plans pursuant of planning permission S3897 18FL at 7 Stanley Way.
That is to do with they can't get bricks that will match the existing building.
Yeah, that's.
So they want to apply render to the new bit so that it
Yeah.
looks aesthetically all right.
I mean, it is appallingly difficult to match
Yeah.
bricks even on modern houses. So
Basically they've got an extension which they park underneath
Yes.
and they want to fill that bottom bit in and turn it into a room with a wet room. But they can't get bricks to match.
Which was what? It was a condition of the previous
Yeah.
application
Yeah.
that they
They
matched.
matched
the
bricks,
bricks.
they can't do
So
it.
it's a variation of condition. So,
Exactly.
okay, so really no comment then from us, just noted.
Yes.
Well, I'm happy to support.
Yes.
You seconding it, Meg? All those in favour? Abstentions? No vote? Against? There's information only, which I'm sure you discharge of conditions, and then planning decisions, which have been noted. I think we can just note those. All agree? Accounts for the month of January to 2019.
2020 probably.
Yeah.
2020.
Just checking.
Well spotted.
Right on the sheet.
expensive word.
Yeah.
Do I have any comment?
The only thing on the checks, you've got a new checklist. I just need to add another one. Well, in November we paid for the fireworks, but they've never received a cheque, and it's not been cash or cancelled it. So I need to add this on here, but obviously the money is
Is already
previous, so yeah.
allocated.
I just didn't want to sit on the next one.
Do I have a do I have a seconder?
Yeah.
David? All those in favour?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We do plan to talk about electronic payments at FGP, so we don't have that problem again.
Right, to discuss the land on south side of Church Lane. This is the plot of land that's come back to the council again. Something, it's all about basically taking it out of the green belt. So we did try this before and asked in the last local plan if we could have it taken out of the green belt. They didn't do this.
He's next to Spring Close.
Yeah, between Spring Close and
Well, the bit what they do is
Road.
for the face.
Yes.
You know, it's only to the fore, but my opinion is we can ask this to be taken up the green belt, because otherwise, you know, it's good land that's going to waste really, and there's potential for somebody wants to build on it.
Yes, I mean, it's at least, I mean, it's not everything else local plan, it's a local plan before every else has been taken out. And as I understand it, it was an anomaly that was created when the estate was first constructed. It was basically the builder's site. And for some reason, which was never entirely clear, it was including the green belt. It was acquired by the resident originally number 4, and sold on when that house was sold. It was sold as a separate plot. And as I said, I've never seen any reason why that should not be done.
Well, I suppose the only proviso was whether it would be a useful green space, because you could put a very small sort of park play area there, because it's quite a long walk, you know, and there's quite a lot of houses in that area, and it's quite a long walk. If you've got, for instance, very small children, it's quite a long walk to the nearest recreation
There's a
ground.
recreation ground right in the middle of the estate at the world. It's there where the wall came down actually over the weekend.
Isn't it?
That's
It's only a
very
green
small
area,
patch of grass.
Well, it's no smaller than that we're talking about.
Just a comment. Our clients owned the land in question and wished to develop into a home and garage for an elderly and infirm relative in a location close to Open Books Hospital. So, Brian, is good.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? I think that expression of it's an anomaly, under other circumstances it would be just treated as a normal infill site and built on. And I understand the history is that the parish has supported applications to build on there previously, and I think under the circumstances I would have done as well. I would obviously be a bit careful if we're as a district council being asked to get it to be removed, but I will support that as the local member, because it's just abnormal, and there's no sense in which that fulfills the requirement for green belts. So I think it was a mistake to include it in the green belt, and it should be removed. I think the nature of the problem will be the bureaucracy required to do so. You know, you'll probably need something like an Act of Parliament. It will be some quirk.
Oh, come on, you take sway to that.
Right, Zoe, we won't get back in general as a parish.
So what I was going to say was that the alternative, if there's some particular problem, from a bureaucratic point to do that, then the obvious thing to do is to appeal to the planning committee, or to ask the planning committee to consider the weight of damage to the green belt by building on this, and plaintiff, the planning committee to make a considered decision on that basis.
So should we actually be writing direct to the planning committee?
Well,
If we can't get it removed from the agreement element, which is the obvious thing to do, because that will, effectively release it to be able to be an infill site and get permission, then I think that's what we should consider.
I mean, as I recall, the reasons given, and I'm not endorsing this, I'm just stating what they were, was the important that it played an important part in the street scene, and also there was, I think, there was an issue about the setting of the embryo unlisted building at Sawston Hall, which I found a bit specious because there is an angle which you can just about see the hall in midwinter when all the leaves are off, but really it's very, very difficult, I think, to claim that land significantly, any more than the construction was stated in the first
Well, and
place.
if I remember, it was that was given as a reason for refusing the planning permission,
Yes.
rather than as anything to do with whether or not it ought to be in greenbelt.
Well, yes,
So-
yes, but I mean, greenbelt's the principal reason for that permission.
Indeed, but it was still mentioned in the planning permission refusals.
So, are we in agreement that as a parish council we would apply to ask to have it taken out of the green belt?
Yes.
So I'll propose that. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll say that.
All those in favour? Right, so we'll get that up and sorted out. Right, to discuss the relocation of the Sawston sign on Cambridge Road, Huckridge Hill. Everyone's had it, it's all come through. Any comments?
Why?
But originally, well, it's all to do with coming out of the farm. So originally, when they did the footpath, they asked county, and we agreed back in June, we would move it, shift it, which we've done,
Yes.
which they've done, sorry. And now they're coming back to ask if we can move it further up Huckridge Hill, because of when you come out, you can't see.
The site
through the
and
side,
the
yeah.
exiting.
It's a safety issue, isn't it?
It's, yeah. They think it's dangerously positioned from a vehicle sightline.
Yes.
Did they move it?
Oh yeah, we're
Oh,
moving
yes.
it. It's county are asking us
Yes,
on behalf of him, so county will do it, but obviously they're asking for our permission.
Well, I certainly don't have a problem with that, and I think there could be a sort of an associated benefit, and that is I think when with the speed cameras, what the worst position, I understand it was Cambridge Road, wasn't it, in terms of speed violations. I think part of the problem there is that there is a tendency to accelerate down the hill and up the other side, and you don't actually hit the edge of the village until you're at the bottom of the hill, which you're faster speed if you bear that in mind. So I think probably creating a psychological barrier further up could possibly have a benefit there.
So do I have a
Suppose we move it?
proposal?
Question.
Go.
If we do agree to, I'm in favour of moving the sign, but probably it might be a good idea to move the 30 mile an hour forward with it.
Well, yes, that's
They can not make a straight line in there. We can ask.
Yes, yeah.
That's a good idea.
With it, so it there is no place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So do I have a proposal that we support?
Yeah.
Thank you.
David Kieran, all those in favour?
With the additional request of 30.
Yeah.
Thirty.
Yeah.
Any objections? Against? No votes?
Would you abstain? Yes.
Right. To discuss the street naming for the development of Babham Road. Over to you, Ben.
Quite straightforward.
Well, and thank you. Thank you very much.
No,
for
well, we
doing
haven't
this.
actually got a result yet, have we? What do you want to do about this one? Do we need to get back to them?
Well, I think
There's no time scale, but we've deferred it, haven't we, a couple of times? I think we...
Yeah.
What do we need?
I think there were two things. First of all, that lots more suggestions came up. Yeah, both ones that have been at previous meetings, but also new ones, which is good. But also, I think with so many possibilities and so many people, that actually just a first past the post selection probably won't be very useful. We'll have one person on all of them, then maybe one that has two, which is not exactly a really...
So we had 6 extra candidates and then an objection to the system of voting.
Yeah, so can I suggest that we defer it one more time? Tomorrow I'll email out a form or something with that allows people to select preferences, so that they can order the things, put it in order, express a preference for any one that you would be not unhappy to see, and then we'll... Yes.
Just some information from me about his suggestion and a bit more information.
Yeah. We do have to take into account David's point about not being able to have the same thing as something nearby though. So I'll
So
check
if
all
it's
of those out.
just bridge, we just need to have a different suffix.
And the question about the regulations just use the word local, so we can interpret that to mean the village rather than the site or whatever.
Tony?
Previously, when we were in this bit of a conundrum, we've asked the Village History Society.
That's what I did. That's why. So the first set of suggestions were from the Village History Society, and then we've got other suggestions. Well, it's been emailed around.
I'll send it out.
I'll put it on Marches for Parish.
Okay, so we agree to defer so we can do this
We're
properly.
just trying to
Yeah, we just do it
before the end of the week.
Do you want us to defer as a planning committee? So that would be a good group of agreed that's against full council.
Well, if Kim's
No,
going to
I
send
think
it,
Do I need that?
Well, yes, we have a result of that.
Well, shall we agree now that we'll abide by the result of the eval at 20?
Yeah, fine, yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
No, that whatever the ballot result is, we agree with it now.
Yes.
oh, right, okay, let me not defer.
No, it's not deferred.
Yeah, what's the process? Just in terms of naming, we just have to be careful not to call a close if it's not a close.
Yes, I was being careful with that because you've got a restricted name. And I have no idea what shape the road is, so I kept it very generic.
So it's worth going back to the thing and just checking, because there is one point where there's access on its own, but whether the whole estate is one road.
I believe it is.
It is one
One
road.
And I think
Now,
it's
I'm stuck to way, road and street has been generic things, so I should
I
deliberately
think-
avoid the
I
close.
think we need to avoid close.
But you can't have railway ways, so it is.
Okay, fine.
You're going to get
Done very well, that we.
No,
Right. Okay, to agree to open a new bank account. This is all due to the fact that as you all know, that if you've got excess of 85,000 in a bank account, there's a risk of you only getting, if you've got more, you only get the 85,000. So, just...
We've got 3 accounts that have got more than 5,000 in.
Yeah.
One of them we're going to leave for the moment because 50,000 will come out to buy this new equipment. One other we'll move at the end of March when the new precept comes in, so whatever's left in that will get moved into a new bank account, so we're leaving that just at the end of March. And I think it's the one that is in section 106 that's removed initially. So we're going to get 85,000 out. I've looked at lots of bank accounts, and no, we're not going to get very good rate of interest. Like it's just whole day really around. The best I can get is 0.75 at the charity bank.
Yeah.
And that's the best. Yeah, so that's one. I've got all the details, and if everyone's happy, those that have to sign need to sign the forms. But that's the best we can get at the moment. But at least by moving the money, it's then safe, and we're not going to lose it if anything goes wrong.
Yeah. So we just need one more account, is that?
No, we will need 2 more,
yeah,
and I've got
2
details of those, but one will be nationwide. Nationwide will give us 0.65, and there's another one, Triodus, I think it's called, an ethical one, and I think they'll give us 0.45. But we'll use those once we get to moving.
So we want to bring it to
I just want to
three.
approve
That's a hard
it.
one.
Approve the one that we need to get open to move it.
Thank you.
Brian proposed,
Well, Jane,
you're going to...
you've done all that.
Second. All those in favour?
I just want to thank Jane as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, James, for doing all that. That's what I
It's not finished yet.
Not doing it, no. Right, to agree quotes for hanging baskets in the High Street on a 3-year contract.
Yes, we're just getting prepared.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to get organised. So 34 baskets. we have we've contacted 3 companies, £630.36 plus VAT, £1,680 plus VAT, and the other one just wouldn't quote. No. And the cheapest one is the one that we've used the last couple of years.
And they look good.
Is that the same as last year? Or we have an extra?
We've added two new ones, because we said every year we'll try another.
Yeah,
Since we've got a water valve and water.
Ooh,
But yes,
so do I have a proposer for
the cheapest.
Stick with that
Cheapest.
same line, because they're really good, aren't they?
proposer in second? David? All those in favour? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To agree quotes for boiler services at all 4 sites and cooker at Spices on a 3-year contract.
Bear with. So this is for the, as it says, usually servicing the boilers and the cooker here. Again, contacted 3 companies, one's never responded, either we chased them. £430 plus VAT and £310 plus VAT. For a yearly contract, that's on a 3-year contract, so we don't have to keep getting quotes every year.
Yeah, is it both the same specs?
Everything's they're all bid out exactly the same.
Yeah, okay.
Lowest price then?
Yeah.
Proposed, secondly David, all those in favour? Yeah. Right, to discuss the quotes for servicing options of new machinery.
Printing and delivery.
Printing, yes.
Oh, right, sorry.
Lot of quotes.
2 through 4.
Chairman's report.
To agree the quote for printing the delivery of Chairman's report for 2019-2020.
Okay, so we've got separate quotes for printing and delivery. So printing, again, 3 companies, 1 never responded. £183 plus VAT and £234 plus VAT. We'll do that vote first because they're separate
Yeah.
and they're different.
Propose 183.
Do I second that? All those in favour? Okay.
Yeah. Delivery, £130 plus VAT, £189 plus VAT, £285.
No, we're going with
And
that.
is the 130 council reviews before?
No.
Maybe that would be a good thing, given
New
that.
ones springing up.
We always try local people.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have contacted people and they're too busy at that time or don't quote, so we just try and get quotes really.
130 seems very reasonable.
Exactly, the same
As
as
a
the
business,
quote,
yeah.
Do I have a
So 130.
Yeah.
all those in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
You can help with the design if you like, but...
you. We just, I think we generally
Yeah,
use
give me a shout.
Moving on to what I'm trying to get to discuss quotes for servicing options of new machinery purchased from recreation minutes.
So obviously we've agreed to purchase the machine now.
Yeah.
I've emailed you all there's 2 quotes, so we got prices for the machine from 3 companies. One of the companies doesn't do a service contract. The other 2 companies do, which I've emailed you all because then it tells you what is covered. Whether you want to go for a maintenance plan or whether you just do what we do now.
So can you just confirm what we do now? Do we do it on an ad hoc basis?
We do it on ad hoc, we just when it
seems
needs
to me
service.
that was very expensive.
Well, I tell you what,
Yes, actually, yes.
it did get expensive later on because the machine was old. I mean, we spent nearly £4,000 on that machine just servicing in it. So
But,
hopefully
but
this,
if in 5 years' time, it may be worth. I'm just dubious about the value of the service contract from the outset rather than things effectively running it.
well, yeah, there should be a warranty
There
and
doesn't
stuff
seem to
anyway.
be a lot exactly.
I think it's just when the machines
sharp
get older,
days,
isn't it?
Yes,
Another general maintenance that Alan can do, which is in some of these plans, so maybe it's
Yeah, I mean, you
not
can change
necessary.
the air filters and the
Exactly,
oil
yeah.
without spending 150 quid.
Exactly.
Stephen?
Would anyone spend £50,000 on a brand new car and not ensure that it was serviced properly by by a garage.
Oh no, we have
As
it.
such, like every single year.
We'll have it serviced by
But
a
we,
company. This is whether we have a maintenance plan where we pay £200 a month. Or whether we just wait and then have it serviced every year, and that's just still being
I would
serviced.
suggest if we were
Yeah.
prepared to pay £50,000 for a brand new mower, £200 a year for a service contract.
And no, it's
It's
£200 a
not,
month.
well, it still doesn't sound like any cost to me if we're prepared to pay £50,000 for a
Well, except the actual, well, my question was, are either of these two companies the people who were going to buy the mower from?
No.
No. So that's because I think that is a bit crucial, that if the mower will be supplied by a company who would then be responsible for the guarantee of it. If you then have a service contract with a third party,
Yeah.
aren't you going to end up with disputes about whether it's a maintenance contract or whether it's a guarantee? I think for me that's a deal breaker, and I would suggest we shouldn't go ahead on that basis, because I think it's likely to end up in a worse situation.
I think at recreation, the feeling was that £2,500 a year was
excessive.
Well, we didn't brand new machine.
Yeah.
We didn't
I
expect to pay
I
that
agree
now.
with Bex, you know, what we did feel it was a lot of money for a brand new machine that was probably wouldn't need a lot of work done for like 10 years. So, what I need is a proposer for,
I mean, I'm quite happy to, if you want to take it back to recreation, so that Alan, if you want to ask Alan questions,
Can I just ask,
because he understands it more.
for them, do we know what the details are of what will the company who are buying it from be responsible for? Okay, because I'm very taken by your point about not creating a sort of conflict between two contracts, but there must have been a feeling amongst those on the relevant committee, and I assume the grounds for whatever, that it was necessary to investigate this.
We were just asked if.
Because I'm also,
Yeah.
but surely, again, coming back to the car analogy, and I know it's not absolutely perfect, but clearly there must be a period of time of guarantee. I know it can't be like on a number of miles, but there must be some kind of, well, to use a very simple thing, guarantee
Yeah.
on the mower. So,
I think it's,
but somebody
certain
must have
amount.
felt, but those involved, or those must have felt that there was a reason for asking for this, which would suggest that it was felt that whatever guarantee was being offered wasn't
I
sufficient.
think it was more of a point of how much we'd spent on the machine we've got now and how much the servicing and that was costing, and then you asked out curiosity.
Well, I think also because we discussed it with Alan, and we felt we couldn't discuss it until we knew how much it would actually cost, and so that was why Joe's been getting quotes. It does sound as though it might be better to take this back to
I think
recreation,
to get
discuss properly with
Alan,
Alan.
because he's going to understand more how long a brand new machine until we start having to spend money. Because obviously I don't, and it goes by hours. Well, Alan's using, I don't know why he's like that. Alan's using the machine. He'll have some idea. Surely he's going to say after 5 years you can start spending
Well,
money.
I think
I don't know, but
it would be good to, now we know that we're buying it from a certain company, we should get from them what,
what's involved.
they're going to give us some form
yes,
of guarantee, which will have, whatever it is, whether it's pre-servicing or, whatever. So if we know that, then take that back to recreation. But I certainly think the reason for having a contract is kind of peace of mind that your outlays are limited. I would expect to have peace of mind on the basis of having spent, as Stephen says, about having spent £50 on a new mower. So I wouldn't have thought we need to worry about limiting our, if it goes so wrong that we have to spend £2,500, more than £2,500 in its first year to service it.
We'd be taking it back to recreation anyway.
Something's too wrong with it. So.
And that was the point I wanted to make, was that, if I bought a new BMW for £50,000 and was expected to spend £1,000 a year making sure that it was running okay, I'd be very disappointed.
Well, and you wouldn't have bought it from that dealer. Exactly.
So I think we need to make sure that it is maintained as far as possible. So, but doing that normal maintenance, doing the service and replacing the air filter and oil is something that anybody can do, and that's certainly Alan's capable of doing that.
He's quite keen to nurture his new tool.
I would agree with that, send it back to recreation again, we'll ask all these questions and get clarification of exactly where we are. So, fix the sort of proposed that
Well,
was
we'll just
seconded,
do
and
it,
we'll
yeah.
go back to recreation.
Yeah.
Okay? Right, to discuss the options of spending S106 contribution money for H1C site, Baden Road. We came up with a shopping list, which included Mill Lane, Pavilion, Linton Way, Cambridge City, the facilities at the Cambridge City, if and when that land is gifted, the multi-use games area, the village hall, and obviously spices. There are figures, approximate figures, I think, are they, Joe?
Oh,
Are they,
well,
for the works that were needed, and Brian was very helpful with this as well, in this. So we came up with a figure of, for the Mill Lane, 51,000. For Linton Way is, it's 350,000. Linton Way rebuild, refurb 350. Spices extension, 32,500. The Muga, 51,000. And then towards Pavilion at Cambridge City, we have got towards Cambridge City, £158,402. Towards New Skate Park play facilities, 40,000. So with that, the figures we came up with, Brian clearly made some very clear points on that. We have got money already allocated in a lot of these projects, and money to come still from H1B, isn't it? So the thing is one of the issues I'm having is Mill Lane really needs doing, so that's one project that we need to get on with. Are we, as a council, in agreement with the shopping list with what we have here? Kim?
Just a quick question. I think you mentioned 35k for spices, but the minutes of recreation say that the 65.
That's what that quote was.
That was their quote. That was their quote, and we said, didn't we, we'd go half, because they wanted...
Okay, so
It's a very elaborate deal.
Limit their aspiration.
That's fine,
And
yeah.
they're going back to discuss that.
So we can...
Same ridiculous as ours.
So as a,
otherwise, I think that shopping list sounds sensible, and the priority list.
I can email, I'll email it to everyone anyway.
Can I just make a question? The discussion over Cambridge City's donated land seems to have disappeared off the agenda.
Well, we do.
what do you want about that?
What we're going to do with it?
Yeah, so the
Well, yeah, that's...
discussion over a fence. So as we're talking about the budget, so I believe that there was a budget allocated of 350,000 total for the pavilion.
Yes.
And any fencing would be additional to that. And my question over that was, is it going to be a recreation grant? We've had this discussion between us over how it would be managed, whether there would be access or restricted access. My view is that I would like the whole place to be an open access recreation ground. We don't have fencing surrounding any of the other recreation grounds. We do here, but they were originally principally the fencing wasn't particularly about access. The fencing was put up to stop balls heading onto the road. There's a debate to be had, and if it's going to be fenced off, which is to keep people out it then feels to me that it's no longer a public place. It becomes then, rather like this has become, a sort of a property associated with a cricket club.
It wasn't clear where the fencing was going to go.
Where the big ditches.
Where the ditches.
Yeah, it was, is on how many sides?
With the triangle.
Yeah.
Two sides, isn't it? Two sides. Two sides of it.
So, and then you've got the question as well, if somebody can get into the Cambridge City grounds to go to an event, for example, well, it's not stopped off.
Yeah,
So
because
this-
it would be sectioned off. There, Cambridge City want theirs separate to ours as well. So you've got the entrance, and then there'd be a fence which would separate Cambridge City from the Parish Council land as well. It's not all open, it's fenced off. Well, that's
But that sounds as though
that's only if, that's because the
that
original
sounds-
conversations were having cricket or
Sporting
football
facility.
out there, having sporting facilities, in which case you cannot have like kids whatever playing football up there with that ditch, which was then, and then obviously
But that's-
antisocial behaviour, and then because it's quite out of the way.
But you see,
So it's,
so
it depends.
the reason for bringing these up was that it sounds
yeah.
as though you've had some conversations with the city owner.
2013.
Since
Since
when?
2013.
Yeah, so
So it's,
there's no discussion been of that nature since I've been on the parish council.
No,
And I
because
don't
it's
want
gone
us to
since
make
2013.
a decision on the basis of, you know, some maybe 7-year-old discussions that were had originally, without us revisiting and making a deterministic decision over how we do that.
I have requested that we have a meeting then, because we haven't met for so long. These are all things
Yeah.
that have been in the pipeline. We could do
Historical,
this, we could do that. So
yeah.
it, obviously nothing can go ahead without it coming to full parish. But I have asked the architect to have a meeting with Rachel, but he's on holiday at the moment. So when he comes back, I think he needs to come to a meeting. I've asked if they can come to March's full parish actually, to give us an update so we're actually clear on where they're at with it.
Yes.
Because we still don't know what they're doing and what exactly.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, if we do end up building a pavilion on it, he's always said we can go into the services and that, which is obviously going to save us money. But
Yes.
we need that discussion again because it's been so long since we've had any
The one
meetings.
last thing I just mentioned in terms of wanting a discussion about it is that if it's exclusively for football, right, and how many matches will we get out of it a week, and spending £350,000 and some, if we're going to do fencing, for a single sport.
Well, it's a sports facility.
But that's what I want to determine, because I can't see how we would be justified in spending, let's say, 400,000 by the time you've taken fencing on a single sport.
We keep saying single, it's not a single sport, it's a sporting facility.
Yeah.
Let's not use, let's cut the word single.
But
It's
nobody's
not.
mentioned anything except football. Yes, that's the
No, it's going to be a sporting facility.
What other sports would be played?
There's potential of, there's football, cricket, potentially hockey. There's other areas that we can look at as well. Tennis courts, that was measured when Janet was here. There was a load of other issues. There is a sporting facility,
but that's-
not just don't single something out.
But I'm doing so because that's the only suggestion I'd heard of.
In January,
It was going to be 2 football pitches. Was
no.
Football pitch and a training pitch.
Great, there's lots of
or a ball playing pitch and
I think
training.
Brian's right, we should have discussions with them. To
Brian-
air
Oh,
those things.
Yeah, I said.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't believe we made this decision.
No.
So Brian is right
Discussions, yeah.
that we need to have the discussion. But let's hear from Mr.
Let me
Satchel
get him in
first.
and then.
To make sure that the gift will still happen,
Yeah.
and to
That's the biggest
Might
one.
change his
to
mind.
confirm the conversations, from, and then yes, that it should go through recreation, and we should have exactly that discussion. There've been plenty of ideas floating around, but there has not been a decision, and so we need not to proceed on the basis that there has been. We haven't even voted to accept it at the moment because we haven't been offered it.
No, it's
So we're a long way away
Yes,
from
it's all
this.
been in the nature of a verbal contract, hasn't it? It's been a
Yes,
I'll invite him I'll try and get to come to March and then we can go from there.
That meeting some time ago, Kevin and NIMBYs came. But for example, there was an extra bit that they mentioned about, but we'll give it to you, but we'll have a clause in whatever the covenant is that says if you ever do it anything else other than, so if it got built on, for example, it would revert to them. So we need to get those.
So we'll really want to a meeting, we'll have that discussion.
So I still think that we should set aside money from S106, sure, because whatever we do, you know, we're likely to want to do that. And you know, if we can find a way to phrase it in such a way that if the gift of land falls through for whatever reason, we don't end up not being able to spend the money. If there's a way of being able to phrase it like that, then that would be better.
Okay, so are we in agreement with the can I have a proposal of somebody for the list? Kieran, got a second, Jane? All those in favour? Alright, and then we will obviously we'll have a budget.
Yeah, like I say, I've already made movement forward.
We'll have those we'll ask them what they're going to do, but then we can start the discussion at that point with them, and then we can bring it to council and we can discuss it that way as well. Okay? To discuss street light energy costs. I know we said at one of the Parish meetings that we would hang fire until we knew exactly what was going on. It's come to light that after the work that Joe's put into this, that as far as if I recall this correctly, that in 2021 the District Council will be sorting out replacing all the LEDs and everything else. So the issue, what I'm proposing is we take a 1-year contract out with them for this energy until we know it's only for 1 year. So in 2021 we'll have a much better idea of what the costs will be to us. Because there could be, I think there could be huge savings.
Well, it is claimed that the LEDs consume 70% less electricity.
So cost for the year, 12 months annual estimated cost, 4,831.
That's compared with about 4.5 million.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's
it's
something very similar, isn't it?
Yes, it's not an estimate.
So, Kieran.
So I was going to say, I'm sure when we last discussed this, we agreed to push back as strongly as we could against the county.
We've done that. We've pushed as hard as we can.
Do you think they're going to turn us off if we don't sign?
I don't think they'll turn us off, but there's certainly, I think there's about 6 parish councils that haven't responded, and we're one of them.
There's actually no easy way of turning them off. You have to go around disconnect.
Well, that's what I thought.
You can't do it with a central switch.
But the thing is we could get ad hoc bills. That's the only, an ad hoc bill. That's the bit that's a bit worrying. So we agreed to the 1-year contract. We know that's a fixed figure.
So does that contract run now?
Oh, I don't know, David, when we agree it.
We don't know.
Well, this, yeah, beginning of the month, so that'll probably be 1st of March.
Yeah.
I want it from the 1st of March because the LEDs, well, if I specify that, I'm sure, as long as we've made an agreement, I'm sure council will be happy that we've actually decided.
Because again, when we talked about this last time, we weren't quite sure exactly how many items we've got on that. We now have a definitive list.
Yeah. And the other things right there is things like, you know, we do extra lamps put in, posts or whatever being replaced. So there's a lot of other stuff to go in there. So do I have?
So I was going to say one more question. How does it compare to what we were paying county?
Yes, pretty much the same.
Okay.
Not
It's
far.
very similar.
Do I have a proposer? Kieran, second, Neil. All those in favour? Right, to discuss request from Christchurch to have a Easter egg hut.
Presumably it's a
Hut. They want a hut.
They want a hut.
So this, yeah, they ask for this every year, so they ask. So they're looking for April 2 till 4:30.
We've never had any problems.
No.
Proposals say yes.
I'll second it. All those in favour? Great, well done. Update from the County Councillor. You've seen the report that went round. If you've got any questions, please do ask me and I will come back to you with them. or you can email me, you can do whatever you like, but I will then go back and clarify if there's anything to clarify. Okay? Update from the district councillors.
So, apologies for having not managed to do anything in writing. Already mentioned the planning delegation, so that's an issue that's floating around at the moment. Just so you know, we've got a bit of local difficulty. A resident in one of the villages had planning commission denied, and he's not very happy about it. He's created an action group. He's going around other villages where people have got contentious applications. He sends up to scrutiny meetings, planning meetings.
I hear you go down to parish council meetings.
He's been to the parish council's meetings. He's made application, although they haven't responded yet, to the High Court for judicial review of the planning department. So there's an interesting background to why the planning committee tomorrow will look at how it delegates items to be considered. So what's quite interesting, and there is not to bore you with the legal background, but there has been a way of delegation that has been done by South Cambs and many other district councils, which has been the chairman and the vice chairman of the planning committee have delegated at their discretion to planning officers to determine non-contentious decisions. So you've got 90+% of the decisions made are made by officers. But that may be or may not be the legally valid way of doing it. This troublesome character is making sure that we do everything by the book, but that, as you might imagine, depends which lawyer you speak to about whether it's so. Unless it's challenged in the courts, we have to do as well as we can. So it's coming up for consideration tomorrow. But it's why I mentioned this issue of parish councillors, parish councils commentary. And if we seek to refuse a planning commission, there have to be material considerations both here and at the district council. So that's just some background for you. The other thing I wanted to mention tonight was I was disappointed that we didn't avail ourselves or at least consider new low carbon grants from the district council. There was a substantial budget set aside, indeed it was increased because of the quality of the applications. And I think as climate change is such a big issue right now, it would be useful, I think, for us to consider what we might want to do. So there have been electric charging points, for example. We've got a district council-owned car park behind the co-op, for example. There are no charging points there.
Has the deadline passed?
For this round, unfortunately, yes.
Well, then it's worth having it as an agenda item
Which is
next year.
so, well, my thought was if we could do something earlier in terms of consideration, so that by the time it comes round to make
Put it on
application.
the agenda and discuss it with the local green groups.
I was going to say, could we invite them to that meeting when we put the agenda, the green group, because they would often be able to advise on specific projects.
Well, we've discussed a substantial, I view build a substantial work to 3 pavilions. It does to me that solar panels should be almost by default.
Absolutely.
Sustainability of the building should be one of your main criteria.
And if you're interested in that regard, we're very disappointed at the moment that the government are recommending changes to the building regulations effectively so that we can't insist that we have highly efficient buildings.
We could do that if we had it in our neighbourhood plan. It's one of the things that you can state in a neighbourhood plan is to apply those criteria.
Anything else, Ron?
There's loads of stuff.
That's enough. I do feel for you on the planning issue. We sort of went there before with the Cambridge City football ground when we had issues with that, as you may recall. So yes, I feel for you on that one. And I hope that, let's just say, I hope we get a favourable result.
I mean, I've been through the wording very carefully. It seems to be in practice a little bit very different. It's the word,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
But it's a question over whether you get democratic control from elected members or whether you can pass it over to officers and what the process of doing that is.
Well, Southampton has created problems in the past by not doing things properly, so I think it possibly does need to have better processes, because people get very upset if they think that planning processes are not being adhered to, and there's one rule for some people and one rule for other people. No, nobody minds there being planning regulations as long as they apply to everybody equally. So I think we do need a stringent process.
No,
and there have been mistakes made in the past.
It becomes very difficult though as members if in 2 different days you get 2 different pieces of advice.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, correspondence.
Well, we've got a couple of things that we need to bring up in correspondence. Firstly, I've sent you all the picture today of the wall at Hall Crescent.
Oh, yes.
You seen it?
Yes.
Okay, well, I just don't know where to start with it.
This is the same wall that we
No,
read.
right, okay, yeah. So the whole wall has collapsed, and it has. So the whole wall's collapsed, and it has damaged the residents' fences as well. We do maintain this area of grass. It's a bit contentious who, well...
Yes, so our previous involvement has been we repaired a bit of the wall because we damaged it when we were mowing the grass, and we've been mowing the grass out of goodwill. In fact, the fences have now been sort of propped up a bit better,
Yes,
so the damage isn't as bad as it looks there. I went to have a look today. Joe had suggested that actually it's not a very necessary length of wall.
Completely redundant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in fact, at the end of where it's collapsed, there's a straight line where one wall finishes and another begins, and that would make a perfectly reasonable cut-off point.
But
But I don't think we have any legal responsibility.
We do. It's David kindly looked at the title deeds and respectively Sawston Parish Council.
So we actually
We own the land, just to be clear, that we believe, and we can speak to this, that wall was built by the developers. Because the plot of land behind, now the green, was effectively ceded to the parish council. And we effectively inherited that wall. That is redundant. So, I mean, my proposition to us today is that we actually remove all the bricks from the wall, and if we're liable for compensation or we've got a claim on our insurance for repair of the fences, we do that. But otherwise, there's absolutely no reason for that wall to be there. It creates a footpath between the back gardens and the fences and the green.
There's no reason.
I must say I have some sympathy for you, but we have been around this before when the wall's locked down, and a proposal then was made to get rid of it entirely. There was a very strong request from the neighbours in Church Lane that it was replaced. I think they were concerned about footballs hitting their fence and going over. But I just flagged that up.
It wouldn't stop the football going anywhere. And
I believe that's
That's what I was just going to say. What David had said that we
I think as far as ownership is concerned, normally, as I'm sure everyone's aware, in posts in the case of fence or buttresses in the case of stone wall tend to be on the owner's side. They're clearly on the green side in this case. So I think it is certainly our ward.
Right,
John?
okay.
I didn't think it was that clear cut because actually if you look around that whole area there's quite a lot of walls bordering that green area and some of them are very clearly boundaries with people's gardens where you'd actually expect the owner of that garden to have at least joint ownership if not whole ownership of the wall.
John?
Yep.
Go, quiet, Joe speaking.
Now, my view was, since the whole wall's come down, leave it open, because that footpath isn't a public footpath. One of the, well, a couple of the residents have said that that is for access to their back gardens. Alan was there yesterday, spoke to a couple of residents, a couple have emailed me that do live there and it's their fences, and basically they do want a wall up. I've asked them if they'd be happy with a fence, thought that'd be cheaper, and they'd be happy with a fence, but they've all said that live along there that they do want protection because the kids are saying
why?
Because the kids and that are playing football and that on that area of green, they want that separation.
But that's essentially a luxury that they've had.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I'm just telling you what
you know,
people say.
if they came to us with a proposal, right, with a blank piece of land and a footpath and the green, and said, would you build a wall for us? We'd say no.
In fact, if they said, would you build a fence for us, I think we'd probably
We'd say no. Thank you very much. So I think, and I think that's what we've got. We've got a fake company, the wind's done the damage. We'll cover their costs in restore it in either through insurance or as our direct cost, and leave it alone.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll cover their cost of their fencing.
And then just.
Oh, we
So we'll ask them
definitely
to do-
liable, but isn't that saying that that is our wall?
Yeah, but then if it's our wall, it's up to us what we do
Well,
with
the
it.
question,
But how would it not be our wall?
Exactly.
Because not all the other similar boundary walls on that
No,
estate
but
are.
that wall is the, like you...
the demarcation.
Sorry, there's
the boundaries
a
are
so it's the boundary
between our
of
land.
yeah.
I think that in spite of very old conversations with the residents looking at the land registry plan, so that is not that is a public footpath because it's not within the curtilage.
No, well, they've said that it's not, but then it's, I don't know.
And also it provides a connection through to some areas road. It's not just.
So you're saying it is a public good?
Well, one of the residents told me.
Well, that was
it
more
was
the
just
idea
their
that it's then our
access.
wall.
It is, yeah.
Then if it's our wall, it's our discretion
Can
whether we replace it or not.
Can we get more of Kevin?
Sorry, that just made me think of one thing. If we take the wall down, are we now taking on responsibility for the path? And is that a problem?
Well, I'm not sure we are taking on responsibility. All I said was that it is a public right of way. It doesn't necessarily mean we're responsible.
But if it isn't a public right of way, are we then saying it's
They
effectively on
one
our
person
land?
say it's a public right of way. That's a public footpath.
Right, so
So
we'll...
this is the proposal, and I'll make it formally that we've just.
So we will
described
cover
that
the
we-
cost of their fencing, but the parish council has made a decision not to replace the wall with either a fence or a wall.
Yeah, so
So, and
we
with their
agreed to spend
fencing,
together.
they get their fences repaired and then invoice us, we do it for insurance.
Well, do we want to give some guidelines about
Some of the fences were
Well,
a
unless
little tatty in the past, so you used to walk that quite regularly.
Okay, quite asking for quotes.
Well, I mean, there would be an estimate factor in that case.
We can ask them to supply quotes.
Because they should be about the same, shouldn't they? So if they're all supplying...
Just let me know what I need to do.
If, what we should offer is to restore it to its previous condition.
That's it, that's it.
The insurance assessment.
Hold on, Steve.
If we are saying that we accept liability for damage to their fences, so the residents who are there, is it not simpler? If we're then concerned about the fact of saying to residents, I understand being able to get 3 quotes in fence, however, or replacement, is it impossible for us to not just say, we'll just organise the whole lot? We're going to end up paying for these fences anyway. It's not going to be more expensive to effectively pay 4 fence people to do 4 houses fence. What stops us from just saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is what your fences are, the fences don't look that dramatically different, we will contract a fence person, I'm sure there's a fence, well that's good, that's that person, isn't it? We will contract a fence company to come along and to put the fences all along the back.
There is also another
They're not
problem,
that badly damaged, but
that so you've got the row of houses, the picture looking at is the row of fences, and then the house is the end house.
yes.
Well, their brick wall
There, yes.
has been damaged as well.
Yes.
There's
Are you
a big
on
crack
that
in it,
one,
and
Jerry
it is.
Holloway's?
No, government. The Jerry Holloway's,
Yeah.
the other end, but yeah, so their wall has got a big crack in it now, and that will need repairing.
Well, I think what we ought to do is do it through insurance. Because and let them,
So what they,
let the insurance
our yeah.
just do it and make it.
Well, and because what we're doing, we also need to spend money to clear the brick wall and to make good.
Yes, well, we also, we should sell the bricks, because you get quite a lot of money for bricks. There's quite a lot of bricks there, and they're in very good condition. Because they're just sort of
Well, that's a good idea. So what do I do? So we were going to ask our ground. Oh.
Well, I was wondering whether we do it all on insurance. We make a claim to fix the fences, fix the other person's brick wall, make good our wall, as in take the bricks away and make good the bit that's staying up. And we claim it all on insurance, because that'll be...
Yeah, but as Spencer points out, a good point is we could sell the bricks and get some finance.
But then they need moving now, so what
So I think if we don't help them to clear the bricks, we've got to get, what's the point for going clear the bricks?
I mean, I'd
that's
suggest that the easiest thing for us to do temporarily is to get Alan to move the bricks off the path and clear it. We'll put them temporarily on the grass, or put some ground sheet down and put one on the grass. And then we've got an opportunity to see if we can dispose of them to the Solar Park, for example, that buys brings it's relatively close, wouldn't cost a fortune to actually get them back.
But now we've told the world that they're valuable, we ought to
Yeah,
make
so
sure we move them off the site.
The trouble issue that we have there is just one small glitch in this, and that is our groundsman at the moment is on his own.
Let's get someone in to remove them.
someone's quoted me. I asked someone to come out to just give us a rough idea of how much it's going to cost. So they've quoted £525 to remove the bricks.
Okay. So I propose we spend up to £600 to remove the bricks.
I just thought,
Seem to
rather than pay somebody to remove them, if you just want them cleared, just advertise that there's free bricks and anyone can take them.
No, they take forever.
I suggest that there's an alternative to spending money to do this. If we contact Solar Park and ask them, because they're relatively close.
If they'll come and do it.
Come and pick them
Well,
up.
let's propose the ability to spend the money if we need to, but without...
So up to six, just that, and then I will speak to her as well, but I just don't think
Yeah,
it's
so let's see
And
if
I'll
Solar
say
Park
why
can take
they
them, or any other salvage place that
Take them.
might be able to
Oh, there's a
take
storage
them.
place in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so hold on, so we're removing, right, sorting the bricks out.
Yeah.
Who's doing that planning application?
yeah. They want bricks that match. And then, obviously I've contacted the insurance anyway, they're getting back to me. So we're going to repair the fences and the wall
Yeah,
and
on insurance.
on our
On our
insurance.
insurance. Yeah. Right, can
We better vote on that.
Yeah.
to kill the proposal, have a seconder?
Thank you.
All those in favour?
And I'll try and sort that out tomorrow.
Thank you.
The insurance claim will also include the cost of removing bricks and making good the
Yeah, I'll try.
foundations and so on.
Yeah. And then do you want to just...
We've had another emergency pop up, and that is the chainsaw that Alan needs, because we've had a bit of wind and a few trees are falling down, as one of you may have noticed. Unfortunately, the motor on the chainsaw has broken. To get the motor repaired, it'll be £200. But we have got quotes for getting a new chainsaw. One is £470 plus VAT. One is £499.17 plus VAT. One is £481 plus VAT. And one is £500 plus VAT.
So do we get it repaired? When Alan told me about the chainsaw blowing up, it obviously said it was going to be about £200 to get it repaired, so I just asked how much is a new one, because I thought I'll come here and then someone will say to me how much is a new one. So I was just trying to think how much is the old one.
Yeah, my question.
Yes, it's quite old. When he spoke to the Mower people, I think it was, they said there's only a certain amount that you can keep repairing it, but I don't actually know.
Well, the £50,000 mower people, see, £50,000 mower people, since we're spending a vast amount of money with them, want to throw in £500 chainsaws,
Is that wishful thinking, boy?
I think Alan generally does a fair amount of haggling, but it's worth suggesting. The other factor in this, as well, is that Alan really needs a chainsaw, and if it goes away for repair, it won't be back for a week.
That's going to be a week.
It's a job at the moment. Yeah.
So
it's £470.
okay. Seconded?
Yeah.
Jane, all those in favour? Excellent, thank you very much.
So get a new one, sorry.
Is that anyone else?
Can we do a price change?
I'm not sure about the chainsaw, but I'll ask.
always ask these things.
Any other
No.
correspondence? Right, councillors' issues issues and agenda items for the next meeting. Kieran?
Nothing, thank you.
Colin?
Speed sign is now working again. I have changed the package, but I do have a mini problem with it at the moment, is that I can't download any info. I have spoken to Mr. Swarko, and they give me a few things. I'd like to try that and see where we are. If not, they're quite willing to come out to sign, have a look at it, but that was not cheap.
Okay. Anything else? That's it. Tony?
Potholes.
Okay.
It's that time of year again.
Yeah.
There are some really, really bad ones.
Report them.
Yeah.
We've got to just report them. Go on and report them.
I'm bringing to the parish council. I do not use the computer, so that's why I'm bringing it forward. I'm telling you, so if the parish want to take it forward, then that's up to them to do it. If they don't, then it won't get done.
You don't have to use the computer. There's a phone line. Use the phone, right?
I do use a phone.
Yeah, so the reporting mechanism is very similar to online. If you use the phone, then you just have to tell them where it is and describe it, and then they'll register it. Hopefully, they don't do what they did with the portal situation and declaim claim.
The thing is, with anything to do with council, any authority, the more people that actually report it, the better it is, and the likelihood is you'll get it done quicker. Because the issue is that you've got they got all these complaints coming in. They just want to. It takes up an awful lot of admin time for them, and they spend a lot of time trying to sort it out. So it's quicker for them to come out and actually do the job. So it's a process. So I would recommend that anybody sees potholes, footpath problems, highway problems, or anything, report it straight away. You can always let the council let us know, and we can then report it as a council. But it's the more voices. Okay. Anything else, Tony?
Thank you.
Daffodil Wells, Cambridge Road. You said there was more to be
I
planned.
did email,
Yeah, we're waiting for correspondence coming, aren't we?
The email said they're going to check it all because they're just starting to come up, so then they'll see where there's gaps and then they'll reply.
Yeah. So that's all on board. We have got them on there on that. We did say to them that you did guarantee that you were going to replace them.
They definitely.
So they will be replaced. Okay. Anything else?
There is a lot that's come through already, actually.
Steve.
When was the last time that, as a parish council, we produced a parish council development plan such like, because I feel that we have lots of conversations in which we are concerned about doing things or taking actions or making bids or such like based on the level of staffing that we have in place, and the fact that we seem to constantly be conscious, quite rightly, of the fact that the staffing that we have in place does not have the capacity to do some of the things that we talk about, and then we end up being concerned about that we missed the deadline for this, or we haven't bid for that, or whatever. So, has a development plan for the council in terms of like sort of a 5-year development plan in terms of staffing and structure and such like been done at any point in the recent past? But I propose that some form of discussion in relation to that is placed on the agenda at some point. I'm not sitting here and saying that somehow the world needs to change and we need 37 staff. But I just think that these issues come up and that perhaps we are missing opportunities and that we could be more efficient. And it feels wrong to constantly look at Joe and Craig and say, oh, this must be done, this must be done. I don't know whether or not sometimes we hold back wrongly in relation to that, or rightly, but it is clearly something that is an issue, and I think we ought to be reviewing and considering where we are.
I have no problems with that.
Right.
So we've got
or whatever it is.
Thing to look at. We clearly just made our budgeting decisions on a yearly basis with some, putting money aside for specific projects, but we haven't really thought, where do we want to be? I mean, it's partly linked to the neighbourhood plan, as in where do we want the village to be, and then we can look at, well, what size, how should the council be?
Was the law within that?
Yes, exactly. And then we can think, well, what's the gap between what our current budget is and those requirements, and then how do we get there?
The example I used earlier, the definite missed opportunities, that low carbon grant was one of them. But for example, we've talked about refill stations in the village for water, so people can freely access, so they don't have to use plastic cups. Odd things like that, but building up that we're missing opportunities to take positive action.
It is difficult. I think in other councils, in other organisations, things happen when individual councillors or volunteers take on projects and run with them.
Yeah.
And to expect or to try and structure an organisation so that the volunteers throw up a whole load of ideas and then the village pays for a staff entirely to implement them is not necessarily the best use. No, I wasn't thinking to say you were. I'm just saying it is definitely something to consider, that we have to strike the balance between, for particular projects like that, they're much more likely to succeed when someone takes them on.
I think the issue that we got is Sawston is such a big large parish council. There's we have got 19 seats. We do know there are some skill sets that we are missing within the parish. The issue is when you look at something like Sawston, Camborne has just been granted town, becoming a town, but they have 6 clerks. They have how many groundsmen? 7 groundsmen.
And they're all in one area.
Yeah.
And I think that issue for me is, as Kieran says, and we talked about this recently, about what the role of our offices are, and we've got relatively limited numbers, but we are a big village. We could declare, there wouldn't be any particular advantage in doing the 7 if we declare ourselves a town. But in terms of our mentality, we ought to perhaps think about, what we're doing. We're going to have a large expansion on the east of the village, and so, that review of where we're at and what we're doing and how we're structured for this, because I'm very conscious that we keep coming up with ideas, and Joe's going, well, when am I going to get a chance to do that?
Well, the thing is, I agree with what Kim said. I think that the issue is other parish councils, and I know the majority that I've been to, they do have members that take on, they champion courses, and they see it through. one other thing I think we've got to be fully aware of, is especially over the coming years, certainly over the next 5 to 10 years, is more and more stuff going to be delegated down to the parish council. In the case, it's not, and I'm not being offensive in any way, but parish councillors, as much as we are all volunteers in this work, we are in this job, and we have the clerks. But parish councillors are going to have to start taking on certain projects and as Kieran rightly said, seeing them through and just reporting back to us how the progress.
I mean, not on their own, but
no,
not unsupported. But I also think, you know, it's right to take a moment to think, well, particularly with the expansion coming in the medium and long term, you know, where do we want to be? When we suddenly get 200 new houses, which, you know, changes the tax base significantly, if we maintain the same precept, we'll suddenly get, you know, another 50k or something. What does that mean for our budget? All of those sorts of things we need to. It would be good to think about rather than just when it comes to the budget planning and they say, oh, by the way, your tax base is now 3,000.
We will take it to Kevin's committee. And actually, thank you very much for the suggestion. It was to be honest, it was a great suggestion, and it's something we really do need to get together. All right, appreciate that. I'm hoping you'll be there as well.
I think not decided
you may have just made a walk for your own back.
I fear I have just bought the house.
Yeah. Jane.
Following on from Tony, she said report to highways. I reported to highways yesterday. A tree over a footpath. I don't know how you say it, Sandpoint. There's footpath that goes through. There's a very large conifer there across the footpath. I'm 5'2", I have to duck to go on. So I reported it, and they've come back and said there's nothing to do with them, because basically it's in a property in Sunderland Avenue. So the fact that it's over the footpath, it's not safe.
If it's broken, then come
They've categorically come back to me and said it's nothing to do with them.
I'll give you to contact the person who owns it.
I think it's. I know you to speak to a county, so John. I don't know.
The district.
I know who to speak to.
It is the responsibility of the owner of the tree.
Yeah. But it's over the
yeah, we'll speak to him.
Either way, we'll get it sorted.
Nothing to do with us.
But
Nothing more, thank you.
David?
Email me.
It's good. Bex? No? I just want to mention 2 things. One is the local plan, but the first conversation is online, and I would strongly recommend that members of the public and the parish council do sit down and read it. It is a pretty long document. It takes some reading. And I'm sure
online.
And it's online, yeah.
It helps if you're online. It's been designed to work online. There is paper versions for those that would prefer, but it is definitely, and in context of what we've just talked about. So there are calls for sites. I've been tested recently by the owners of Northwest Therapeutics about the site next to the bypass. Thank you. And other similar calls for sites will be coming forward, because this plan, 37,000 new houses or whatever the number is, will need to be replaced very quickly. Part of the challenge of the last local plan was to start the new one much quicker, so we're doing that. And this is the time for us as parish councillors and residents to contribute to that whole process.
And it's going to be quite significant in the contribution to put in as well, because there's things in there that you know. It's very easy for people to come along and they come out and put local plan, and then suddenly we all say, well, we don't like that. But if you start that process at the beginning, it makes it a lot easier for the authority to sift through it, doesn't it, in all honesty? So
I must say, I have had a look at the online feedback, and I must say that I found it virtually impossible to prioritise your 4 big questions, because there is a very significant overlap between the 2 issues. I mean, how do you put climate change ahead of good places, for example? It's and so on. I found that
But they are the dilemmas that we've got.
I think your initial question should be more focused and more clearly distinguished.
But it's been very carefully worked through. And as I say, they are exactly the dilemmas that we face as an authority, how to weight the different calls between different aspects. So it's climate.
How long was the conversation over for, one?
So we've got 6 weeks from the beginning of January. It's close to coming to an end.
So, you can't sleep overnight, please. And the other thing as well is the Tumbling Community Collaboration event is on the 2nd of March between 10 and 12 in this building.
I think Claire's
Emma did send out an email.
Friday.
I'm just sort of like bringing it up again. But it would be good to see councillors supporting the event as well. For me, that's it. And now we go into pursuant to section blah 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 blah.
Play